Hello, everybody. All right. Hello, everybody. All right. So, welcome to the Mikestand, of course, our weekly look at the historical comic retrospective. Of course, um, Rex Christian from Double Flyer Momentum is here with me as my co-host tonight. Of course, he's away at the moment, but so let me just hail all. And he, of course, if you guys want to check out his latest project here,
Yeah, absolutely.
here's a link. Hey, Rex, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to let the dog out and back in. It's bad
Like,
weather coming in.
all right. Well, before we get started, I'll explain in a moment what we're doing. But before we do get started, if you want to do a little intro yourself and tell everybody who you are, talk about your project, do just a little quickie, plug here for what you're doing here before we.
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're good. You don't want to you don't want to do an intro.
Oh, yeah, Devil Flyer. We do a daily show, 4 o'clock Central, as you well know, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you like interlinking universal characters, Devil Flyer is up on Phone Comic right now. There's the link. Thank you for featuring that, Mike.
No problem.
Epic size 48-page magazine that's going to be coming out. A Devil Flyer, Devil's Weapon, mysterious character. With other characters within. Sort of mash up, kind of anthology style, but it's all around centered around one character, Devil Flyer. Ultimately, so if you like a universe with a lot of characters, Marvel, DC, others that have had large character rosters, you'll get to know them slowly but surely, and with great characterization, great artwork by people like Rob Ewing, uh, John Dillard, John Falandes, a good friend of mine for over 40 years. Um, who did the Devil Flyer story, and we have a Jimmy Reyes variant cover coming pretty soon. Doc Blaylock, Tank Ferret, just a lot of good stuff, coming down the pike. So adding stuff daily, or much as we can. We've got a
Mm-hmm.
variety of covers, hardcover edition, standee, tapestry, a drawing tier if you want to be drawn into a comic, uh, a magazine, comic magazine. I really would like to do a Golden Age size comic, but most collectors, Mike, as you well know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, aren't really suited to, most comic book places don't carry Golden Age material. There's just not much call for it, and you have to have boxes that they fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Somebody might
Well,
have a
because back
magazine
then they
box
back
or
yeah, um, back then they used to call them comic magazines as opposed to comic books because they were like, like the books we feature here on the historical comic retrospect right now as we're going through the golden age stuff. They're like 64, 65 pages most of the time. 60, as much as 68 when you count all the advertisements. Of course, back then they were doing anthologies more,
right.
whereas nowadays it's more feature style comics where you just feature just one, maybe two characters,
Right.
you know. Whereas back then, you'd have, and with like what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do with Prize Comics Volume One, Issue One tonight, where you'll have like, depending upon, I think by this time all comics were getting down to the point they were like, 7 or 8 features
What
each
is
in the.
your preference, Mike? Would you prefer like an Amazing Spider-Man and a title all his own, or do you like a little mix up of stories done anthology type style?
Yeah,
What is your preference?
I think, at least from what I've seen, I think the anthologies are better, in terms of if you're gonna have your world building, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, you're gonna have your world building. I think anthologies are actually great. I think, yeah, have the feature style stuff as well, but do like they did back originally with the feature style stuff, and have the feature books maybe come out quarterly, right? Like originally, books like Superman, Superman, Batman, Spider
Yeah.
Man, or I don't know, because I hadn't got as deep into the '60s as much, and I know more about DC and anything else. But originally the feature books, the books that would feature only one character,
Yeah.
would come out quarterly. They'd come out like 4 times a year or every 3 months. Your
Right.
anthologies would be your monthly titles. And if you really wanted to, the idea for the world, if the whole, if like for me, right? I like, to, now you remember, I don't know how much you know about DC. Well, okay, so I guess he's part of both DC and Marvel. You remember the character Access? You remember
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
character?
With the when they had the mashup crossover between Marvel and DC.
Right, which I just reported on the other day that they're going to be reprinting those. By the way, that's something I
Oh,
just
the
yeah,
Crisis books. Yeah.
not the crisis, no, the crossovers, the like
Okay.
amalgam and all that.
Okay. Well, I know they're going to come out with the Crisis as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, in facsimile editions, facsimiles and that old material by George Perez and other, better writers and artists than the new stuff that's coming out now, which people aren't buying. Even
yeah,
in Dan Diodato's time was outselling the new stuff. I kind of like major on Devil Flyer, but I give you backup stories like you had
mm-hmm.
secondary characters like till the
Right,
'60s. Aquaman was primarily a backup character in adventure comics and books like
right,
that. He wasn't a main, say top tier hero, and didn't get his own title till the '60s.
right.
But he had been around since the '40s,
Well,
and
yeah,
really the
that's correct. A lot of people may not know this. He was a part, his golden age version, anyways, was actually a part of the All Star Squadron, but not part of the Justice Society. He was never part. Whereas the Silver Age version of Aquaman was actually one of the founding members of the Justice League.
Well,
Yeah,
All Star Squadron is a retcon book from the early '80s, from 1983, I think, when it came out, something like that.
yeah,
Uh, and Roy Thomas, he likes all that, all the Golden Age, and I mean, he's I mean, he was a young man in the '60s, in his 20s, so he probably read comics in the EC stuff, the Atomic Age stuff, but he probably uh knowing him, he did a deep dive and appreciated all the Golden Age stuff that
yeah.
and him
Like
being
some
in
of
a
what I try to do, right?
right, well, him being in a more urban cityscape, he might have been able to get his hands on some of those Golden Age issues, whereas you live out in the country, you're not going to have access to that, kind of like I do. But he
Well, back then,
did.
anyways. But now with the internet, you can get just about anything if you know
Sure.
how to find it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. I would still, I mean, And there's some low print books that if you didn't have the internet, you couldn't find.
Right.
They would be just, you would have to be
Oh
just,
yeah, I know that one of the things that we can only give minimal coverage on is the David McKay publication stuff because of what you just said. You know, I don't know if they were low print or not, but David McKay publications, which we're not covering tonight, mind you, but they're the ones who were doing some of the first comics that were featuring Popeye, like Magic Comics. Um, yeah, let me do something there to help.
have you
Variety.
ever, have you ever heard of Variety Comics?
No, I haven't. But
This
again,
is, this
but
is,
if you understood the source I used, there, is Variety Comics, is that just the name of a title? Is that the name of a company?
that's the name of a comic here. This is Crawdon, Croydon, publications 1945.
Okay.
Marv Stein cover.
Yeah, I
Second,
haven't heard of any Croydon stuff there because of the source I use. So, um,
right. This is the second appearance of Captain Valiant and
mhm,
his second cover appearance. He's pictured in the middle there
mhm,
under action. It says Variety Comics, the Spice of Comics. Each issue contains a variety of new and original features. That was important to put on some of these early ones because they
mhm,
were reprinting a lot out of the dailies, right?
mhm.
And they started out just compiling some of the stuff and reprinting it and selling it for a dime in comic book form. In this issue, education, it's got the presidents there, jungle adventure, action being Captain Valiant there, mystery
Well,
and humor. So
well,
this is
yeah, a lot of the anthologies back then really knew how to mix it up, you know, in
yeah.
a way.
Well, this is a prime example of one.
Mhm.
From a publisher you probably haven't even heard of.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the main site I use for my indexing is Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Now, granted, that's not me. That's not named after me. That's named after some guy named Mike Reynolds, who, what I just recently found out, passed away. But people are still, you know, keeping his site going. And I've probably shown you this site before.
Right.
The one I
Right.
use for my as my primary, in terms of how I organize my material.
Now,
To
who we're going to take a look at Prize Comics tonight.
right.
Who published Prize Comics? Who was the publisher, Mike?
Well, I'm going to get in. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that.
Hey, Lorenzo. Okay. Have you covered Prize Comics before?
No, this will be the first time because it. Um, hey Lorenzo. Um, hey Mike.
And what? And then how long did they publish?
Well, we're gonna find that out because I have that. I actually have the intro page set up for that,
Okay, so
but
we're
I
gonna.
wanted to just show you this real quick before we get started. So this is the site I use as my primary um, indexer. Um, so so this is the site I pretty much use for when I,
Thank you, Lorenzo.
yeah. Um, this is the site I primarily use for when I you know, so then I use, the newsstand here. And then, so these are all the publishers right here. You see DC and Marvel at the top there, Archie, and they go down. And then after you get through a lot of what we now would call some of the major publishers over there, like DC, Marvel, Archie, Charlton, Dark Horse, Dell, Gold Key, Harvey, IDW, Image. And then you do get into some maybe lesser known publishers like Aardvark, Vanaheim, AC, Ace, American, So this is the site I use as my primary indexer, my primary reference point. Okay,
Well, all those, at least with the icons up top, are still around except for Dale, Goki, and Charlton.
right. Well,
And
Gold Key was kind of Gold Key was basically the continuation of Dell. They basically continued a lot of the.
Yeah.
Dell made its name basically, basically publishing
And
comic adaptations of already licensed works.
and really, Dale is still around.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
they just don't do comics anymore. They do like puzzle books and other stuff. There is Dell Publishing.
Right.
But yeah, and we've got to mention Whitman too.
Mhm.
Whitman in there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Start very early publisher doing like big little books all the way back to the 30s.
All right. So, yeah, I guess.
Crestwood Publications. Okay.
Well, that's one of the names they. So, I guess they ultimately became known as Prize Publications, but they
Right.
went through a few other names as well. We're gonna, I brought this up because we're gonna of course get into all this. Before I just wanted to give you a little bit of a quick go around on how the show's gonna go here. So we're gonna do a little intro here. We're gonna read some of this right here to get the basic information. We are gonna read through a character profile as well, the Black Owl, aka K the Unknown, because he's gonna be one of the characters. Then we'll actually be doing some reading. Now, of course, one of the things I want
Oh
to
my
ask.
God. This is why people don't want to come back. You make them read.
I don't know. I don't. Well, no, I don't actually make them. A lot of them choose to read, but I don't make them read. And
Okay.
in
All
fact,
right.
in fact, in fact,
Nobody reads anymore, Mike. That's a problem.
well, RJ read when I have like RJ will read. Rick will read.
Oh,
Most of
now
them.
you're just shaming me. Okay, I see how it is.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just telling you how it is. Um, But if you can hold on for a second, let me
All
get
right,
out what I
man.
need
I'm
to
I'm
get out
yours.
here. I actually was going to ask you, did you want to read along, in character voice and all that, or did you just
What
want
the
to sit
hell,
there?
Mike? We're
Well,
not even to that section yet, and you're
I
asking
know,
me.
I know. I'm just getting it out of the way.
Yeah,
Or did you just want to just commentate? It's
I
your choice.
I reserve the right just to sit here.
All right. So then you just basically just want to sit and follow along, commentate if
We're
anything.
not even to the section yet. I'm not answering that.
All right. Well, okay. Then I'll
It
ask
it,
you.
it takes all the mystery out of it, Mike.
All right.
All the
So
fun.
then we'll go ahead then and I'll get started here. So we'll get on reading the background history here of Crestwood slash feature slash prize publications here. All right. So here we go. Crestwood Publications, also known as Feature Publications, was a magazine publisher that also published comic books from the 1940s through the 1960s. Its title, Prize Comics, contained what is considered the first ongoing horror comic book feature, Dick Briefer's Frankenstein.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
excuse me a moment. Excuse me a moment. Rex, my sister just called me.
okay.
If you wanna talk and pitch
Yeah,
your
that
product again or whatever,
That Frankenstein
I'll be
monster
right back.
had like a triangular head and sort of split down the middle with stitched up stitching. A really cartoony sort of not really scary Frankenstein, as I remember. Not very many of them published. Let me see if I can blow this up while Mike's gone, and I'll just read some of it. Uh, Crestwood is best known for its prize group imprint published in the late 1940s to mid 1950s through packagers Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Yeah, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby were published that were involved. That's probably a Jack Kirby cover right there with Black Magic. Those were later reprinted, some of them, the Black Magics with DC Comics in the 70s, but Joe Simon and Jack Kirby were actually the thing. Who created such historical prominent titles as the horror comic Black Magic, the creator owned superhero satire Fighting American, and the first romance title, Young Romance, for which of its history Crestwood publishers were Teddy Epstein and Mike Blair. I hope that's right. In the 1940s, the company's general manager was Maurice Rosenfield. Rosenfeld.
Well, were you reading all this, Rex? Were you reading this?
Yes, I didn't mean to co-opt. Yes, and in the 1950s, the general manager was Maurice. Wait a minute, you jumped on me. Was
M.R. Reese.
M.R. Reese in the 1950s? The company office manager was Nevin Fiddler. Fiddler, I guess that's who later became Simon and Kirby's business manager. In addition to Simon and Kirby, notable Crestwood Prize contribution includes Leonard Starr. I believe Leonard Starr is maybe a Western. Well, no. He did Westerns, maybe. More
No, I think those names right there are all
are
comic
creators,
not features.
Yeah, I got that. Joe Manley, he's awesome. He did The Black Knight. John Severin did War, all kinds of stuff. This is just a who's who here. Bruno Parmanini, or he later would do Doom Patrol.
I think it's Premiani, based on what I'm seeing.
Nobody cares. But yeah, we'll get it right. Carmen Infantino, who would later become the big guy over at DC Comics. But Bruno, he would do Doom Patrol in the 60s. Dick Ayers, he did a lot of Westerns, I know. George Klein, I think mostly, he was an inker. I think Jack Abel did a lot of Westerns, a lot of inking. Yeah, you got some heavy hitters there.
Yeah. So, and then on the right here, just so Status defunct in 1968, founded 1940, country of origin United States, headquartered New York City. Key people were Teddy Epstein, Mike Blair, Joe Simon, Jack Kirby. Publication type: comic books, magazines, fiction genres, romance, horror, superhero, westerns, imprints, prize group. So,
28 years and they're out of business.
Yeah. So they went from the 40s through the 60s. So they basically went across 3 decades there. All right. So I'm gonna I just had to go. My sister had called me, so I needed to go see what she wanted. But let's go ahead and look at some of the early history here of it. Origins, Prize Comics. In 1940, Crestwood's Prize Publications, already established as a producer of pulp magazines, and that was something that was kind of, I don't know if you'd already mentioned it when you were talking before, but a lot of the comic book companies were also doing pulp magazines at the same time too.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
Why did you skip a whole paragraph there?
What do you mean? A whole paragraph? No, the last paragraph there was
go back down. Go back down. You started reading from the second paragraph. Didn't you?
I started reading in 1940. Crestwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, jumped onto the superhero bandwagon with the new title Prize Comics. The first issue featured the non-superpowered costume crime fighter K the Unknown, whose name was changed to the Black Owl in issue number 2, cover date April 1940. In Prize Comics number 7, December 1940, that's the cover date, of course, writer-artist Dick Briefers introduced the 8-page feature, quote, New Adventures of Frankenstein, an updated version of 19th century novelist Mary Shelley's much adapted Frankenstein monster.
You remember what that monster looks like? I kind of described it while you were gone. Kind of a triangular head, had a big stitched up scar in the middle of his face,
Right.
his forehead. He
Right.
looked pretty whack. He was more cartoony. He wasn't really scary.
Hmm. Yeah. Considered by comic historians, including Don Markstein, as, quote, America's first ongoing comic book series to fall squarely within the horror genre. The feature, set in New York City, um, circa
So,
1930,
mhm.
starred a guttural, rampaging creature, actually dubbed "quote unquote" Frankenstein, unlike Shelley's nameless original monster.
Right.
So, and that's as far as we'll go here because that's just where we're at here. But one of the other things that I'm going to do here once I find there is one little um, there's also, I said we could do the character profile here, but this is the only. And what's kind of funny, this wasn't even the lead feature in said. This is actually the primary backup feature, as I understand it. So we're gonna go over Black Owl real quick here, and then we'll get into the actual. Um,
Can't believe they don't have any image available with a black owl. That's crazy.
Well, they don't have a profile page for Power Nelson, who was the actual lead feature on in Prize Comics Volume 1, as you'll see in a few minutes when we get into it. So, the Black Owl is the name of two fictional superhero characters, one of which is a successor of the other. Both appeared in Prize publications titled Prize Comics in the 40s. Right, and we're going to focus on the Doug Danville character right now, just simply because that's the one we're going to be reading here. So, it, um, let's see, and then Prize publications, first appearance. Oh wait, no, that's the second Black Owl. It's the first Black Owl, and according to this, well, as the Black Owl, he made his debut in Prize Comics #2,
Yeah.
but he
Formerly
debuted in
known as
#1 here as K the Unknown.
K the
So,
Unknown. Right. Gotcha.
so Doug Danville, in 1940, Doug Danville, being a bored and wealthy playboy, yeah, that was common back then too. You had a
Well,
lot of
Batman
rich people
archetype,
who would,
right? And then you would have like Bruce Banner, BB, Doug Danville, DD, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So, being a bored and wealthy playboy, decided to add meaning to his seemingly pointless life by
Kind of
fighting the
like me
criminal,
right now.
huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
By fighting the criminal element hand to hand. Originally calling himself K the Unknown, he quickly changed this his identity to that of the Black Owl. His original outfit was a tuxedo and an owl mask, um, but he soon switched to a blue and red costume. At one point during his career, the Black Owl fought alongside the Green Llama, Yankee Doodle, and several other heroes to defeat Frankenstein's monster. So it sounds a little bit, if that's the same Frankenstein we were just talking about with Dick Briefer, and I'm not sure because I have this.
I
This will
don't
be the
I
first,
don't know either.
yeah. But if
Because I know the
that would
I
be
know
that would
the
be a very interesting, so you could see that Prize was already engaging in world building here and bringing a lot of these features together, in their early days, even slightly before
do you
DC
know what
started.
the first crossover was? I'm just curious. Between two major
Not
superheroes.
overall. The only earlier crossover that I know of is from DC, and that was Federal Men. Steve. That was two of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster's features, in which okay, it was in Federal Men that it actually happened, but I can't remember the.
Okay,
It was
I'll make it easy on you.
Sandy Keene and Larry Trent I can't remember the name of the feature, but I remember the name of the character, Sandy Keene. They were just regular patrol cops, and they crossed over and made an appearance in a Federal Men story. So
Well,
that
okay, that's more than I knew on that. But as far as superheroes were concerned, Timely Comics with Submariner and the android Human Torch.
all right.
First fight, first
Well,
crossover.
that doesn't necessarily surprise me because they're both in Marvel. They're both features
Fire
in
and
Marvel.
water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, also they were both features in Marvel Mystery Comics. Anyways, let me get so
later. Yeah.
finally, after more than 3 years of crime fighting, Danville decided to do something even more meaningful with his life. He joined the army and fought in World War II. Before leaving, he passed on the costume and identity of the Black Owl to Walt Waters.
Uh-oh. Kind of stop there. Your internet.
What was that? Rex? Rex, can you hear me? You seem to be frozen. Uh, all right. Well, hopefully he comes back here in a moment here. So at least set at least. So basically, yeah, that's basically what happened there. We're just gonna wait to see him, see if he can come back here in a moment. Um, And guys, as always, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That would be appreciated. Also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, with that, let me go ahead and at the very least pull up the reading material as we wait for Rex to come back. Um, Let me see if he's come back yet. Oh wait, wrong. Yep. All right, let me. I'm waiting for him to try to come back. Yeah, let's get to the material here. Let's see. Now that we got the reading material, let me. And apparently he's not back yet, so I'm gonna message him see what's going on. All right. As I said before, I just want to wait to see if I don't know if there's some kind of technical issues going on, with this signal or what have you. He froze. I didn't even realize he froze out until I looked back over here and saw that. And but I'm hoping he comes back. Hmm. Yeah, well, it's a little, well, as I said, I'm just gonna wait, give it a give it another minute or so. Hopefully he'll come back soon here. Um, Want to give him the option if he wants to read along or if he just wants to, you know, you know, and of course, if you guys want to check out Rex's campaign, there it is. Well, all right. Hmm. Hoping he'll be back soon here. Ah, hmm. All right. Well, anyway, I'm gonna see if I can try to find some. I'll try to keep contacting him, see if he can come in. Let's see who else might be on. Let's see. Hmm. Wonder what happened. Hopefully everything's all right. um, well, I guess as usual, the show must go on. So I'm gonna go ahead and um, All right, so apparently he's not. Something's up, but anyways, well, this usually works better when there's at least two of us. So, but I guess I'll just have to try to trek on here as I don't know what's going on with Rex, if something's going on with his internet or what have you, but hopefully he'll be back. Try one more time here, see if he's yeah. All right. I guess I'm running solo for now. I guess until he obviously I'm gonna have to ask what happened to him. But anyways, let's get into the reading here then. So prize comics, chock full of action. Number one, big prize contest. Power Nelson, the man of the future. March 10 cents. No, that's March is the cover date. You guys know. Oh, all right. Right. Act now on this bargain offer. Combination for as little as 10 cents a day. This beautiful desk for $1. So a desk for $1. Wow. That takes probably a lot of people back, doesn't it? Let's see. So here we go. Howard Nelson, man of the future. All right. So yeah. All right, man of the future. I'll do something about this. Oh, it is the year 1982. Wow. Well, I mean, I guess it did seem like a lot of um, I guess the future did seem that far off, even though it was only like 42 years after this comic was published. But and civilization exhausted by the Second and Third World Wars had been conquered by a Mongol horde. The ruler of the world is Emperor Seng the First, from his palace in New York. He governs with despotic might all civilized people who groan under his oppression. His soldiers and spies are everywhere, and all hope of liberty seems gone forever. Sorry that Rex had to miss out on this. Sounds like a very interesting story we're going to get into here. New York in 1982. People enjoy the blessings of advanced science, but they have no freedom. My friends, no speeches on any subject by order of the emperor. Their property is often confiscated. But I paid my taxes once. No matter, the emperor wants more. But in an underground laboratory, hidden from the emperor's spies, there is hope. A scientific way has been discovered to endow one man, and one man only, with tremendous power. A youth named Power Nelson is chosen, and the experiment is performed. Nelson, It's a success. And now, well, just punch that brick wall. Power punches with terrific results. Gosh, I punched through the wall. You see, you have the strength of a steam engine and the hardest of tempered steel. I think okay, there's a little bit of a lettering issue right there. I think that was supposed to say hardness, not hardest. Um, tempered steel. You must fight the tyranny of Emperor Seng, one man against an army. I will fight until civilization is free once more. A real get up and go here. And if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, anyways, all right. So here we go. The next day in New York, the Emperor is coming. Kneel, all kneel, kneel, you. Are you addressing me? I won't kneel. I am an American. An American? What's that? You'll soon find out. Let go of my sword. Power crushes the blade with his mighty grip. Want your sword back? I'll have to pay for that sword. The furious soldier reaches for his deadly rocket pistol. I'll blast you to atoms. But Power sees him. What the? And tosses him high in the air. Help! Power braces himself and catches the falling soldier. Now who kneels? Now who kneels to who? Stop. Stop. I'll kneel to you. Get up. I don't want your servility. Meanwhile, a rocket cycle patrol sweeps up. What's going on here? He threw me into the air. He's dangerous. I'll take care of you personally. Ugh! The rest of the patrol speed that Power. Ride him down! Ride him down! So I guess that's their way of saying run him down, I guess. Then, with his terrific strength, Power picks up the rocket cycle and hurls it at the patrol, bringing them down in a tangled heap. Wow, look at that mess. Look at that mess right there. That's not going to make people happy, is it? The emperor's procession comes down the avenue. A Mongol dispatch carrier rides up. Sir, sir, a man is throwing rocket cycles at the soldiers. What? Have you gone crazy? Order out the Death's Head division. Get that man. The famous Death's Head division comes up on the double. They surround Power. A rocket roller tank advances, but Power, with his terrific strength, lifts the rocket roller tank and throws it back onto the troops. Run for your lives! Meanwhile, sir, that man is still holding out. That's impossible. Order out the atomic bombers. The terrific atomic bombers leave their hangar. They soar over New York. One by one, they power dive and drop their deadly atomic bombs on Power. The atomic bombs explode in the street. Wow, talk about some very interesting thoughts on what the future held by these people, huh? Power is stunned by the terrific concussion. He is picked up by two soldiers. He's still alive. What a man! And taken in chains to the emperor's palace. So you're the man who's been making trouble. Tomorrow you will meet the three terrible tests in the gladiators arena. You will not survive. Suppose I survive the three tests. You will not survive. I would bet on it. Meanwhile, the rebel scientists are captured. You are under arrest. This is the end. While back at the emperor's palace, look at the television news. More rebels are captured. The scene comes in on the television screen. Will you bet me the freedom of those men that I don't survive the test? Be it so, if you survive, I'll give you their freedom and your own too. But you won't survive, haha. In what used to be the Yankee Stadium, the Emperor has revived the ancient gladiatorial combats. So they converted a baseball. So according to them, back in 1940, they thought they would convert a baseball stadium to a gladiatorial arena. It's kind of an interesting little tidbit there. All right, so let's continue on here. The next day, are you ready for the 3 terrible tests? I am ready. Power is led into the arena. For the first test, a huge rhinoceros is led into the arena. Straight at Power charges the rhino. And this is, of course, not to be confused with the Spider-Man supervillain. The same name. But Power, too, springs forward. Power's mighty fist strikes the beast between the eyes. And the rhinoceros sinks to the ground stunned. I sure passed the first test. In the cheaper seats, the civilized people are wild with joy. Hurrah! Wee! What a man! Atta boy! But in the better seats, the Mongols are gloomy. I don't see how that happened. Just luck, I guess. For the second test, 3 Bengal tigers come out. Grrr. One crouches for a deadly spring, but with terrific strength, Power picks up the rhino. Wow, I guessing. Well, I wonder what he's going to do with that rhino now. Maybe hurl it at the tigers. That should be very interesting. I mean, that's quite a hefty creature right there. That's quite a hefty creature. Hmm. And hurls it at the tiger, of course, as we thought. Landing like that, I'm thinking that rhino may have broken that tiger's back. And the second tiger springs at Power, but Power ducks down, and the tiger sails above his head. Then Power straightens up with a fist to the middle, and rather to the gut, like most people would normally say. But and the tiger collapses. So much for that tiger. Meanwhile, the third tiger slinks off in fear. Like that third tiger is getting wise. Okay, I don't think I want to mess with this guy. This guy's gonna probably kill me if I go after him. Right? Hmm. For the third test, a platoon of expert swordsmen enter. We'll cut him to pieces. Power is given a steel net to defend himself. Just like I were going fishing. Oh, in the Emperor's box, now we'll see some sport. The swordsmen charge at Power. Kill him! Kill him! Then Power makes a giant leap over them. He throws down his net. But like he got quite a catch, and the swordsmen are entangled and helpless. I can't move! Power gathers up their swords. You won't be using these. In the Emperor's box, you won. Your bet, your friends are free. You won your bet. Your friends are free. Go. But we shall meet again. That night, my boy, you have made a good beginning. Follow the adventures of Power Nelson, the Future Man, in each issue of Prize Comics. Yeah, it's a shame that Rex wasn't able to join me for this story. I would have liked to have heard his take on all this. It seemed like a pretty good story, huh? Anyways, I almost have to think that Rex might not be coming back because I haven't been able to get him to respond. I wonder if something may have happened. Wonder if something may have happened. But anyways, oh yeah. So before, let's see. There's a few other things, but before we do that, I'm gonna go off camera here for a moment. Just want to check something. But I'll be right back. Yeah, normally I would have put my not that almost ended the show prematurely. Anyways, we weren't gonna read Ted O'Neill. I was gonna skip that. Let's see now. That's a text story right there. Jupiter the Master Magician. So here's the next story we're gonna go over here. Actually, I do need to step away from the computer again. So I'll be right back. Let me put music back on. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back now. So yeah, so I guess at this point I just have to concede the fact I don't think Rex is coming back because I haven't been able to reach him on Facebook or anything like that. I haven't heard back from him in regards to whether or not he's going to be able to come back. So guess I'm on my own for the rest of the night here, for the rest of the show here. So that kind of sucks, but but as they say, on with the show. The show must go on. So let's go ahead and do this. So Jupiter, the Master Magician, by Greg Champion. Zingo Ognis Full. Jupiter is sent from his planet to the Earth to clean up the evil corruption. He lands somewhere in upper New York State. He walks about in his visible form and without meeting anyone comes suddenly upon a terrible train wreck. Looks like this was done purposely. Interested, Jupiter approaches the wreck more. Yeah, interested, Jupiter approaches the wreck more closely. He sees a man watching the scene intently. Hmm. That fellow knows something about this business. Pardon me. Do you know what caused this accident? Do I? Do I? Say, what the? Who are you? Why the fancy getup? I'm Jupiter, from the planet Jupiter. My ruler sent me to rid the Earth of all racketeers. Wow, just so straightforward, huh? Ah, you sound like you're fresh from the nut house, son. I can do seemingly impossible things. Okay, fella, lift the trains that are pinning down those people. From Jupiter's lips come magical words. Suddenly, the mass of tangled steel and debris lifts itself. It falls yards away, freeing the victims beneath. Amoka! Akoma! Zook! Now you're convinced. Now you're convinced. Suppose you tell me about yourself and your business. I'm Jim Johnson, reporter. I knew this accident would happen, but couldn't prevent it. I once worked for the outfit that built this road, crooks, all backed by boss politicians, and you can't touch them. Every job they do is a menace to public welfare. Where are they working? Where are they working now? They're doing a tunneling job about 500 miles away. We couldn't possibly see it today. No, just give me your hand, Jim. In less than it takes to tell, they swooped over the mountain in plain view of the tunnel. Amoka Zook! Whew! What speed! Jupiter produces Jupiter produces his magic crystal and studies it intently. He is horrified at what the crystal reveals. Why those dirty crooks? This tunnel will cave in any moment. I'll fix that. Angered, Jupiter sets to work. He removes all the workmen by magical force. What the? What the? Hey, I'm being yanked out of the tunnel. With a few strange magical words, Jupiter causes the mountain to crack. In a moment, it splits and crashes beneath it the costly tunneling equipment. This ought to teach the scoundrels not to trifle with safety of human beings. A little later, the company spy dashes in to see the boss, Jip Mercer of Borneo Construction Company. Mr. Mercer, we're ruined. A guy called Jupiter has completely wrecked job number 7. Jupiter, huh? You're crazy. Honest, Jip. He's out to get us, too. Ha ha ha. We'll have a nice reception ready for him. Get Killer, Shorty, and Strangler. Give 'em my orders. Okay, boss Johnson. Okay, boss Johnson. Johnson will get his too. Jip Mercer's plans go on smoothly. Jim Johnson is whisked away in the middle of the night. Jim is taken to the gangster's hideout. You're in for a workout, bud. Johnson, where does this guy Jupiter hang out? I wouldn't tell you if I knew, and I don't. Painful as it is, Jim doesn't utter a sound. Little foot toasting might refresh your memory, Johnson. Classic torture technique right there. The old hot foot bit, right? uh, Mercer's mob beats him into unconsciousness. Yeah, having a club struck to your head probably not the most. Um, Gosh, I knocked him out cold. Fool! Put him in the steel room till he comes to. They dump Jim on a cot and bar the door. Suddenly, Jim stirs. Thought I was out cold. Did they? Ouch! Ouch! If Jupiter were only here. In the meantime, Jupiter uses his magic crystal ball to locate Johnson. Gaux, Zlor, Zook. I see Jim Johnson. The crystal gives Jupiter a clear view of the building Jim is prisoner in. The gangster Mercer is holding Jim captive. I must go at once. The next instant, Jupiter is walking in the city. There's the building I'm looking for. Immediately, Jupiter begins to utter strange words, and at the same time gestures wildly. Then the building splits open. Zabado! Milak! Unbol! In a minute, Jupiter is outside the door of Jim's prison room. An obstacle, huh? Well, here goes. Making himself invisible, Jupiter passes easily through the heavy steel door. Nothing seems to faze this man of magic. So he's made himself intangible there. Kind of out of phase, right? Hmm. All right. So, anyways, getting back to the. All right. Speak of the devil, how did you get through that door? Easy. Everyone on my planet can do it. Magic is common practice there, Jim. So apparently on Jupiter, at least at this, according to some of these writers of 1940, Jupiter was a place where everybody could do magic. Very interesting to say the least. Say you look a bit under the weather, Jim. Seeing you makes me feel better already, Jupiter. In the meantime, Mercer and his gang have escaped being hurt in the crash. They are discussing the accident. Hmm. This must have been Jupiter's work. Johnson tipped him off somehow. We ought to bump that guy off, boss. Mercer and his cronies fling open the door to Jim's room and begin firing. Gosh, Jupiter, they got guns. We won't stand a chance. Don't you don't you worry. A coma, a mocha. At Jupiter's magic words, a steel barricade springs up like lightning speed with lightning speed. Front of the bullets. It's a steel wall. The jig's up, boss. Jigged up, boys. Let's scram out. It's curtains for us. Whew, that was close. Ha ha, scared Jim? The frightened mobsters make a quick getaway by means of an emergency chute. And chute in this case means just a tunnel, not to be confused with parachute. Jupiter produces his crystal ball. Again, he utters a few magic words. Howla, Allah, al, loa, alo, zook. Watch me, Jim. You might learn to do this yourself. Johnson watches the crystal ball in amazement. Before his eyes is the gangster's car, speeding down the highway. But not for long. At the same time, many miles away. Oh, all right. Actually, yeah, this. So that was the end of that one. The thing was is that something kind of goofed here in terms of that, in terms of yeah. So, anyways, so we'll get ready to move on to the next story there. That one didn't even have a. And okay, we won't do that. Sorry. All right, here we go. K the Unknown by Thomas Brown. So the guy who eventually became the Black Owl, the first Black Owl for Prize Comics. All right, so let's get into this. K the Unknown by Thomas Brown. Douglas Danville, wealthy playboy, meets his one-time college friend Terry Dane at their alma mater annual winter carnival. Private Snoop, huh? Isn't that a tough job for a little girl like you? Yeah, yes, Doug. I'm now a private investigator. All right. It's brains that count in the detective business, not brawn. Around a steep, sharp curve, Terry loses balance, crashes into a big snowman. Oof! Inside the cleverly fashioned snowman, someone had concealed a dead body. They recognized the dead man. It's 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 Henry's president of the it's Henry's president of the all alumni. Marvelous deduction, Terry. College authorities disguise the homicide as a skiing accident to prevent scandal. Terry is assigned to the case. This is no job for a playboy, Doug. I'll show you how capable I am. You'll be in danger. Let me help you, Terry. Doug Danville, bored with being a playboy, is secretly K the Unknown, a mystery man wanted by both police and the underworld. So, for those of you who we've mentioned this before, of course, the term mystery man was actually used as opposed to hero or superhero or vigilante. They were called mystery men because usually, of course, there was an aura of mystery about them because, of course, they'd wear a mask, protect their identities, so the bad guys couldn't go after them. Hmm. I'll help Terry anyhow. Whoever did that job is clever. Kay watches over Terry as she enters Henry's house. She sure has courage. Help! Here's company, you mug. While Kay fights to stave off a knife attack, The other thug escapes with Terry Dane. Kay finishes the knifer and starts after them. So that he may learn more, Kay does not stop them. Arriving at a hunting lodge, I suppose I should thank them for the buggy ride. This should bring them out. I wonder I wonder what that noise was. What? Ag! Listen, Mug. I want info. Who killed Henri's? And why? Don't hit me, Kay. I'll tell you straight. It was Max Johnson, the alumni treasurer. Stole thousands from Treasury. Henri's found out. Johnson gave him the works. After receiving his information, Kay let the crook go. Kay the Unknown, he's here! Blast it, we better go and tell Max. The gang speeds away to their leader, Max Johnson. Kay the Unknown. Howdy. Tell me what those crooks were after in Henri's house when you interrupted them, and I'll set you free. Terry does not even dream that the mysterious Kay is her seemingly lazy friend, Doug Danville, playboy. They wanted they wanted Henri's diary and all the evidence I need to convict Johnson. Be near the bobsled um, run in a half hour, and you'll find Johnson with the diary in his pocket. Kay crashes through the window of Henri's uh, den in his palatial home. Johnson is about to burn incriminating evidence. Drop that diary. What the? There's something familiar about you. I've been waiting for this chance. I'll blast you wide open. Mad with fear and anger, Johnson grabs a heavy metal paperweight. Kay ducks a second too late, and the flying paperweight grazes his scalp. Ouch! Even that facial expression, like right there, looks like pain. Like he's in pain from that. Having a having a huge piece of metal like that thrown at your head probably is not exactly the most comforting thing in the world. I'll finish you, Mister Fine. I'll finish you, my fine Mister K. The cobwebs clear from K's brain just in time. The force of the blow knocked a false putty nose and a wig off the man known as Max Johnson. Kay recognizes him as Sigmund Rathko, notorious international crook and swindler. Rathko posing as the alumni treasurer. That explains a lot. Kay keeps his promise to Terry, places the diary in Rathko's pocket, and hides nearby to watch. What's this note? Uh, This is Max Johnson, also known as Sigmund Rathko, international swindler. The diary is in his pocket. K. Regaining consciousness, Rathko digs his cruel fingers into the throat of the unwary Terry. Nice alliteration there, unwary Terry. seeing seeing this, Kay rushes at him. Oh, Kay, the unknown, blazes. Rathko drops his fingers from Terry's throat and runs to the top of the bobsled run. You don't get away that easily. Desperate, the killer attempts to escape on a speedy bobsled. Um, on on a speedy bobsled, the sled starts. The two men battle desperately as the sled gathers speed at a hairpin curve. Oh boy, that's not very safe. The sled catapults over the snowbank. There they go, both flying. When the toboggan crashed, Kay saw to it that Rathko absorbed most of the shock. Leaving his sign in the snow, Kay streaks into the woods, leaving the stunned villain for Terry and the police. Later, on the way home, Kay becomes Doug Danville again. You can't stand excitement, Doug. But just wait until the next time Kay butts into my affairs. I'll fix him. Gosh, Terry, I wish that I could have some adventures like you. More chills and thrills with Kay the Unknown and his unsuspecting pretty friend Terry Dane in next month's issue of Prize Comics. All right, so let's see what else we can find here. Let's see. Hmm. Anyways, All right. So, anyways, let's move on to the next story then. Next feature. Storm Curtis of the U.S. Coast Guard. Her black hull smashed in twain. Her her after half sunk. The remains of the freighter Asta hopelessly waits doom by the terrific storm. The wireless room is still intact. Another SOS is sent out and is picked up by the Coast Guard. Freighter Asta split in two. Tell Storm Curtis to get a rescue party together fast. Storm Curtis receives his orders. Of all the nights to go out on the sea, why don't ships stay home in the rain? I'll never finish the galleon model. And sets out in a Coast Guard cutter for the stricken freighter. A line is fired to the wreck, and a boat brings Storm to the Asta. But the gale is too great. Storm is stranded aboard the Asta as she drifts out of sight of the cutter. So we got kind of a Coast Guard adventure here, so a little bit something a little different from what we usually do. Dawn and calm finds the Asta still afloat, but mysteriously surrounded by an island of rotten ships, typical of 4 different centuries. What do you make of this, Curtis? Looks like Davy Jones emptied his locker. There must be some strange power that attracts dead ships to this spot. How nobody has seen or reported this island is a puzzle to me. Look, there's the remains of a cargo of slaves, chained together even in death. Wow, that's kind of it's kind of a horrific thing to come upon. Bunch of skeletal remains. This even has some horror elements to the story. Suddenly, there is a sharp command. No false move, please. No false move, please. Hmm. Are you the manager of this resort, or are you just a fat termite? Not funny. Walk that way. Finally, Storm and Captain Troy are sent to down a companionway. I don't suppose I have to tell you that you are unwelcome visitors. As such, you will be put out of the way. I believe you, old hogface. You look like a guy who would steal his mother's gold teeth by your own gaudy uniform. I see that war is your hobby. What's this crazy setup of yours? Setup simple. This ghost ship Isle is a perfect cover-up for a submarine base. In a month, our secret agents in the U.S. will put your nation into this war. Suddenly, Storm turns on the officer and floors him while Captain Troy crashes out the lamp. I don't know, but somehow you disgust me, piggy boy. Piggy boy. This guy's a wisecracker, isn't he? Storm fights the way out. Oops, pardon. As the two men head back, a pair of beady eyes espy them. Gosh, look at that galleon. Just like my mod. Wait, I'm sorry. Gosh, look at that galleon. Just like my model. Have you paper and pencil, Captain Troy? Hmm. Want to write your will? But out of the corner of his eye, Storm sees the new menace. In a flash, he turns upon him. Bingo! This is my lucky day. With this guy's paper and pencil, I can copy the details on that ship and use it on my model if I get back. Oh boy. Oh boy, he's now looking at what he's gonna do with his model when he gets back. Of all the times to start becoming a Rembrandt, you have to pick now. Stop shaking, Cap. But what happened to the enemy's cigarette? Oh boy. Yeah, you don't want to really ignore a cigarette or a cigar because they're liable to start fires usually, right? What did you find out, Captain? Plan oh. What did you find out, Captain? Plenty. Round up every weapon plenty. Round up every weapon aboard ship. And every fire extinguisher too. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard cutter nears the scene. Say, look at that blaze out there. On coming closer, the big half freighter is discovered. Storm and the rest of the Astus crew is rescued just in time. Safe at safe at GHQ again. Hmm. Too bad we have no trace of aspiring. Oh, by the way, that galleon model I'm going to give you is almost finished. Here's a sketch of the prow of a real galleon I made on that lost ship isle. Never mind the ship plans. Look at these plans inside. Complete data concerning the spy ring. Every name is given with the head's hideout. Storm and the police go to the address of the chief spy. So you put an end to my work. But the spy is too much of a disciplined soldier to submit. Dishonor never. Well, Storm, with that we can close the most nefarious spy ring in this country. And there we go with that. So, alrighty then. So let's see, what time is it now? Hour 49. So I guess we did get this done. Because there wasn't as much background detail, of course, to go over as sometimes. Usually, I had started planning on trying to make these 3-hour shows when we're doing new books, but as it would appear, we just had enough material to just get through 2 hours instead. So, anyways, yeah, at this point, just again, I'll have to when I have a chance, I'll have to track him down to see what happened to him. But anyways, so with that, guys, so we're finished with that. So now we're going to start to wrap things up on the show here, as of course coming up on the 2-hour mark. So today being okay, let me just go check something real quick here. Just need to check something here. Let's see. Remind myself. All right. So anyway, so yeah, brick paper next. All right. So anyways, it's time to close things out. So today being Friday, February the 16th, 2024. Let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! So let me just run through this stuff real quick. Right, so first off, we're going to head back 90 years ago. As on this date, 90 years ago today, back in 1934 here, Fleischer Studios' Let's You and Him Fight, a Popeye theatrical cartoon short, was released on this date back in 1934, starring, of course, William Billy Costello as Popeye, the voice of Popeye, Bonnie Poe as the voice of Olive Oyl, and William Pennell as the voice of Bluto. Charles Lawrence as the announcer. So on this date, 90 years ago today, Fleischer Studios' Let You and Him Fight, a Popeye theatrical cartoon, was released on this date 90 years ago today. So, getting ready to move up. Right. Now, moving ahead to 2000. Hey, Rick! Yeah. Something happened with Rex. I don't know if it was a technical issue or what. Something happened with Rex. He froze and then he just left. So I basically did the show solo through a good chunk of it tonight. Um, but it's kind of funny you popped in because I'll be announcing that you will be with me next week, of course. Um, anyways, if you haven't already, of course, you can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, let's continue on with this day in each history as we wind things down here. So, as I said, moving on ahead to the year 2000. On this day in the year 2000, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm sorry too, because usually this show usually works better when we have people to interact with and we're reading, even whether or not they choose to read. You know. Anyways, on this date in the year 2000, the 50th issue of Gen 13 went on sale on newsstands from DC's Wildstorm imprint. Of course, this is a title that was continued from Image. Image did the first 36 um, issues, I believe. DC took over the title issue 37. So the 50th issue of Gen 13, in this case from DC's Wildstorm imprint, went on sale on this date in 2000, which was 24 years ago today. The story was Over My Dead Body, written by Scott Lobdell, script by John Layman, penciled by Ed Benes, Pat Quinn, Scott Benefield, Steve A. Ellis, with inks by Scott Williams, Mark Irwin, Sal Riegel, Richard Bennett, Jason Rodriguez, and Armando Duruthi, and Mark Millar. Lettering done by Robbie Robbins. Coloring done by Christopher Chukri, Frank D'Armata, and Wildstorm FX. So that happened 24 years ago today. And now moving on to the next piece in each history. Moving on to 2009. On this date in 2009, WWE, the night after the pay-per-view, the No Way Out pay-per-view, I believe, WWE Raw happened from the Spokane Arena in Spokane, Washington. After No Way Out, Raw was in flux with the World Heavyweight title having fallen into the clutches SmackDown's Edge and Randy Orton, continuing his seemingly unstoppable quest to cement his quote unquote legacy at the expense of the McMahons. The Legend Killer's march through the McMahon family continued on Monday night as he punted Shane and RKO'd his sister Stephanie. Orton's actions were brutal and vicious enough to draw out Triple H, who rushed down the entrance ramp to tend to the fallen general manager. And the results of the show, of course, it's all stemmed from an unsanctioned match that ended in a no contest. And then you also saw on the night Melina retained the WWE Women's Championship over Beth Phoenix, who had Santino Marella and Rosa Mendez. Rey Mysterio defeated Mike Knox. Kane defeated Jamie Noble. And in the opening match of the night, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, and I believe that's Ted DiBiase Jr., and William Regal, with Layla in their corner, defeated CM Punk in Crime Time. So, let's see. And now, the final piece of niche history. Going back just 5 years ago today, back to 2019. And on this date, 5 years ago today, Tier Studios anime film The Royal Tutor premiered in Japanese theaters on this date 5 years ago today. Plot was Heine Wittgenstein, a man often mistaken for a small child, has been summoned to the royal palace of Glansreich by the king to act as the royal tutor to the four younger princes, Kai, Bruno, Leonhard, and Licht, turning them into capable candidates to the throne. However, he finds the task difficult because the complicated personalities of his charges, who had managed to cause every tutor they had to quit. Yeah, sounds like fun, right? So on this date, 5 years ago today, Tier Studios' The Royal Tutor, the film version, premiered in premiered in premiered in Japanese theaters. So with that, I thank everyone for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I'm sorry that Rex had to leave. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. From the looks of it, might have been some kind of technical issue, but I'll try to find out. Hopefully, hopefully things are all right. Anyways, of course, we'll be back on Sunday with the weekend edition. We'll have hopefully some panelists on to talk about all the latest happenings this past week in Neach News. Also, next Friday, on the next issue of Historical Comic Retrospect, Rick Piper will be joining me, as we'll be looking at we'll be looking at comics that went on sale in January 1940 from Quality Comics. So we'll be, of course, looking at feature comics and Smash Comics. We'll be looking at our old buddy Captain Napkin Face, The Clock. We'll be seeing Doll Man and Black X. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Let me do one more thing here before I head out, which is I want to highlight Rex's campaign one last time here. If you guys haven't had a chance to go check that out, you might want to link over there and go check that out. Check out what Rex is doing. With that, I thank everybody for being here. And with that, I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. Bye.